What's this? A letter for me.
Welcome to another episode of Remember the Great Sports Through the Mail Thursdays. Today I'm going to share with you 3 recent returns that I got back in the mail and profile each of those individuals to you and tell you about their playing careers. So the first one is postmarked from Tampa, Florida. And it is indeed all-time great of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Kevin House, on 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let me tell you about Kevin House and his career in football. Kevin House was born in St. Louis, Missouri, and he played his high school football in a nearby suburb of St. Louis at University City High School in Missouri. And after his career in high school, he enrolled at Southern Illinois University, Carbondale, where he not only played for their football team, but also played for their baseball team. While at Southern Illinois University, being a two-sport star, he posted career marks of 71 catches for 1,524 yards as a wide receiver in football, and he batted a respectable .271, collecting 95 hits in baseball. He was selected in the second round of the 1980 draft by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. His first year in the league, he appeared in 14 games for 24 receptions. He only started one of those games, but he amassed a total of 531 yards his rookie season for the Buccaneers. His second year in the league, he started all 16 games for the Bucs and amassed over 1,176 yards just in his second season playing in Tampa Bay. Kevin would continue to play for the Buccaneers the next few seasons. 1982, he was hampered with an injury and only appeared in 9 games, but he bounced back in 1983, starting 16 of 16 games for the Bucs. And by 1984, he matched another season of 1,000+ yards receiving for the Buccaneers that year. 1985, he was there again for 16 games, and in 1986, after just 7 games with the Buccaneers, the Buccaneers decided to release him from his contract, and he signed with the Los Angeles Rams. He would finish out the year with the Rams in 1986. He would return in 1987, this time as a backup wide receiver. He would appear in just 12 games for the Rams in 1987 with very limited play, with just having 6 receptions the entire season of 1987. Well, after it was all done, Kevin had amassed a career of over 114 games playing in the NFL. 94 of those games, of course, playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In his 8 seasons playing, he caught 299 passes and had 34 touchdowns. After his football career, Kevin focused on working with his son and his daughter, actually, helping them become professional athletes. Kevin House Jr. actually played in the NFL for 4 seasons, and his daughter actually was a track athlete for the University of Southern Mississippi. After his career ended, Kevin did not make big time money or anything like that during his playing career, and he and his wife actually opened a beauty salon in the Tampa area. Kevin said that some of his clients were actually Tampa Bay Bucs, and even Tony Dungy would come to this salon to visit him on occasion. Well, after the salon ended, Kevin got into working for T-Mobile and actually for a bank, and that is where he finished his working life, working for those 2 companies until he finally did retire in Florida. According to an article, now you can find Kevin playing a lot of golf and still following his Tampa Bay Buccaneers every game. So I want to thank Mr. House for signing for me, and we'll go on to the next return. All right, so this next return is postmarked from Kansas City. It is a return from former Kansas City's Chiefs All-Pro Bill Maas on 1, 2, 3, and 4 all Kansas City Chiefs cards. So let me tell you about Bill Maas and his career in football. So naturally, being a baseball fan and being a collector of baseball cards, My first inclination was, is Bill Maas related to Kevin Maas, the former New York Yankee and Cincinnati Red, among others? And the answer to that is no, he is not. Kevin Maas is not related to Bill Maas. Bill does have a couple brothers and a sister, and they are originally from Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is where Bill played his high school football. He had very little interest coming out of high school, but was able to impress enough to get a position on the University of Pittsburgh's college football team at that time. While he was at Pitt, his defensive fronts of the early 80s, he played tackle and was the spearhead of that Pitt team. That Pitt team also included future NFL stars Tim Lewis, Jim Covert, Chris Dolman, Dan Marino, Russ Grimm, Mark May, Hugh Green, and Ricky Jackson. He established himself early as a freshman, where he blocked a punt and recorded a sack in Pitt's 1980 Gator Bowl victory over South Carolina. Maas then became a starter for his remaining 3 years with the Panthers, earning All-American honors in 1982. Maas was the Chiefs' first-round draft pick in 1984, the fifth overall player taken in the draft. He lived up to his first-round status, being named the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year, despite missing 2 games his first season. After a career-high 7 sacks in 1985, Maas matched that total the next season and was awarded his first Pro Bowl invitation. He went back to the Pro Bowl again in the strike-shortened 87 season after getting 6 sacks and scoring a touchdown with a fumble recovery. Maas got off to a fast start in 88, getting 4 sacks and a safety in his first 7 games. He then was injured in the 8th game of the season and missed the rest of the season. The 1989 season, he was trying to bounce back, and because of that injury, he just appeared in 10 games because of that injury that season and did not record a sack the entire 89 season. By 1990, Kansas City moved him from defensive tackle to defensive end. He had 5.5 sacks and a safety that season. Injuries would continue to plague Maas at this point, and after an injury-filled 1992 season, he would then join the Green Bay Packers. He spent most of the year backing up the nose tackle on that Packers team. His 40 career sacks is tied with Mike Bell as the 8th most in Kansas City Chiefs history. Bill Maas is the first nose tackle in Chiefs history to make the Pro Bowl. He was the first Chief ever to win the Rookie of the Year Defensive Player Award. After his playing career concluded, Maas would resurface as a commentator for Fox Sports from 1996 to 2007, and also from 1998 to 2001 he served as a studio anchor and game analyst for NFL games. Maas still lives in the Kansas City area to this day and can be frequently seen at Kansas City Chiefs games. So I want to thank Bill for signing my cards, and we'll move on to the next return. All right, this next one is postmarked from Texas. It is indeed a return from former Texas Longhorn great Diron Talbert on 1, 2, 3, and 4. Fortunately, Diron signed in not the best marker there. So if you're planning on writing Diron after seeing this, you might want to consider sending him a Sharpie or something, because these cards aren't pretty, but you know what? They are signed. So let me tell you about Diron Talbert and his career in football. Diron Talbert was born in Mississippi and later relocated to Texas, where he played his high school football along with his brother Don at the same University of Texas City in Texas City, Texas. Both him and his brother would later go on to play for the University of Texas for the Longhorns. During his college football at the University of Texas, he was an all-conference defensive end, and in his junior year, a preseason All-American. As a freshman, he played with the team that won the Consensus National Championship, and eventually, because of his efforts at the University of Texas, he would be elected to the Longhorns Hall of Fame in 2005. Talbert was drafted by the San Diego Chargers in the 2nd round of the 1966 AFL Draft, and also by the Los Angeles Rams in the 5th round of the 1966 Draft. He decided to stick with the NFL and sign with the Rams, playing with them from 1967 to 1970. In a massive trade, he was traded along with a lot of teammates and a draft pick to the Green Bay Packers, who in turn flipped him to the Redskins in kind of like a three-player trade thing, and this is where his Redskins career took off. In 1971, he began playing defensive tackle for the Washington Redskins, and he would play this for almost a decade until his retirement in 1980. Talbert was a key member of the 1972 NFC Championship team, the team that being the starting tackle in Super Bowl VII. For his time with Washington, he would appear in 142 games playing for the Washington Redskins. And overall in his career, his time with the Rams, he's spent time in 44 games. For a total of 186 games, 157 of those games started in his career. Now, I've talked about this many, many times on my channel. Whenever you're an offensive or defensive lineman, during that era, you got to remember, this is an era where football is a lot different than it is today. And to have that longevity for a career, especially for a lineman, is just amazing. This, again, is one of those underrated guys that, you could probably argue, compared to the people that they're putting in the Hall of Fame nowadays, this guy arguably could be in the Hall of Fame, along with his teammate Chris Hamburger, who already is. I didn't say hamburger, I said hamburger. So, this is one of the most feared defensive players during his era. The guy played longevity-wise for a very long time, almost a decade straight, for that franchise. So he's certainly recognized for, his time with the Redskins, or the team formerly known as the Redskins. And he is considered one of the 70 greatest Redskins of all time. So, after his playing career, Talbert got involved in a couple ventures. He was involved with hotel, real estate, investments, and as well as oil. I mean, he's a Texas guy, so why wouldn't he be involved in oil? He also operated a grocery store along with his brother, Don, that I mentioned earlier, in the town of Rosenberg, Texas, which is just right outside of the Houston area. So, very cool to add Mr. Talbert to the collection. Very happy to add another great defensive NFL player in Bill Maas to the collection. But let's not forget the other side of the ball. Very happy to add Kevin House, one of the best wide receivers in Tampa Bay Bucs history, to the collection. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you like some of the names that I threw at you this time, because you may not recognize these names, but I will assure you, all three of these guys were some of the best players of their era. So if you want to learn more about them, definitely check out their stats. I always link those down in the description. Look forward to your comments, and as always, happy collecting.